Some may find the following disturbing. Discretion is advised.
Oh, shit! Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh. Yeah. Yeah. Nah, nah, nah. A Bears Barroom. They're the ones that fight for truth. Every week on 100 Proof. Even if the Bears win or lose. A Bears Barroom. They're the ones that fight for truth. Every week on 100 Proof. No matter if the Bears win or lose. Yo, first, the smartest man, no tweets, he's ever missing impossible. The mission, call out frauds with precision. A Bears 100 Proof, these pages #1 Adora. Slaying dumb tweets, cross-eyed like Katora. Never wonder back down, Shane be calling a fraud. Our dumbest tweets of the week, the mailman goes all out. Cheers, Bears fans. The fire Puerto Rican barkeeping for Chicagoland. He's the godfather, the one, the real producer. Always keeping the show together with the voice that will seduce us. Biscuit now the Firefox, the old timer never stops. IPAs, drafts, malts, crafts, Barkeep takes a shot. Barflies appreciated worldwide. Canada, Scotland, England, Brazil, Mexico, and Dubai. Dr. Phil is the guy, the one to realize that the Barroom needed a show with an endless truth supply. Go big coat forth, the narrative on color brought the Jasons of get paper Mitchell. Now I'm the usher. Standing up for the truth, 100 Proof with the guys. Almost burned off the show, but I came back for the barflies. Flies. Fuck a fraud in his keyboard, Twitter tough guys surround us. Raining truth on the Bears worldwide, barflies astound us. This is the #1 pod, that's the reality of the truth. And if you don't know us by now, Bears 100 Proof. A Bears Barroom, they're the ones that fight for truth. Every week on 100 Proof, even if the Bears win or lose. A Bears Barroom, they're the ones that fight for truth.
Call it the kill principle. Keep it likable and learnable. And so, as far as that goes, we'll do a good job of, we got to be complex enough to where, again, it's tough for the offenses that we face, but it's simple for us.
Cheers, Bears fans! This is 100 Proof, and you just heard Bears defensive coordinator Chuck Pagano talking about keeping it simple for this defense because COVID has presented some incredible challenges in terms of implementing a defense and also having some safeguards in place if you lose players to the pandemic. My name is Aldo Gandia. I serve the drinks in this raucous, rowdy Roadhouse bar. But don't you worry, the stars of our show are here. They are, of course, Draft Dr. Philotoshin, Shane, the smartest man in the barroom, Marsaw, and, of course, the chatterbaiter is with us, Greg Braggs. Let me bring them in now. Guys, how you doing? And let me start with you. Greg Braggs, you had such a sensational show with John Jerkovich. I want to commend you.
Appreciate it. Going first today. How you like that, fellas? I like it. Yeah, no. I was going hard at Yurko because I will not put up with the tomfoolery of his explanations for Devin Hester not being in the Hall of Fame. He, first off, is going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, so the conversation is really silly within itself. But Yurko's explanations are just ridiculous, and I don't have time for it. And yeah, so if you have a chance, you can go back and hear me and Yurk have a shouting match at each other. So it was a lot of fun, though. I appreciate all the guys at ESPN 1000, including the good kid.
Shane, how you doing, brother?
Getting ramped up here. We got a little coaches press conference, and I skimmed through them a little bit as much as I could tonight before we went on, and starting to feel those juices flowing again, hearing them talk about Khalil Mack. I'm like, uh-oh. I mean, Dan Aguirre's got to be even excited hearing that.
Yeah, and to just let everybody know before I introduce Draft Dr. Phil, what we're going to focus on tonight is the defense and Chuck Pagano's comments to the media. And then we're going to come back either Wednesday or maybe a little earlier than that to talk about some of the other offensive coaches. We're going to keep this to about, we say 1 hour, but we're going to try to keep it to 60, but definitely under 90 minutes. Right, Shane?
We're gonna keep it an hour. I promise you. I have the magic button on my end. Is that
Draft Dr. Phil, you got 59 minutes. Go ahead.
real quick, Phil?
Start your shout outs now.
Phil, before you start, Aldo, did you check that private chat is the only one showing up on our end?
Oh yeah.
Why is that happening?
Is the only one showing up. You're not getting comments from
if I go to YouTube, I can see it, but on our feed here, it's only the private chat is the only.
Oh, that's weird. I'm seeing them, all of them. So it could be you guys might need to get out of Chrome or whatever window browser and get back in. Sometimes that happens.
All right. I can do that while Phil's talking. That's perfect timing for me.
But Greg, you're seeing all the chats, right?
I'm the same. I've been looking in the YouTube comments as well, and yeah, it's just private chat for me as well.
Okay. Well, Phil, take it away, and then everybody will zoom get out and.
Talk by yourself, Phil.
The pressure is on. I don't know if I can
Phil's
handle
fantasy
this.
by himself.
Yeah. No, Greg. It's a great day to be alive, Aldo.
Yes,
I think of that song. I was driving home from work, and I heard that song. I don't know if you've ever heard it. It's a great day to be alive. I know the sun's still shining when I close my eyes. I don't know who sings that. I know it's a country song, but it just had that feel today, knowing that I have family coming over, and they're, the COVID thing is kind of dying down, if you will. And
we hope.
Exactly. With the fear, like the wave is coming. Like we were talking about that. I have my nephew Josh over. Shout out to Josh.
Give me my cheese, Josh.
Josh wanted cheese on his burger. I was talking to Shane, and I was trying to talk, and do, I had the headset on, like the CIA. So anyway, it's a great day. I hope the barflies are feeling the vibe, and I'm getting ready, football season. I mean, every time I see, I close my eye, I don't know about you guys. Like I said on the last show, as a football player, I would talk to myself. Just so coincidental tonight, these guys left so I could talk. And I would motivate myself. So today, knowing that we're going to go live and that we didn't have a show Wednesday, I was like, you know what? This song is perfect with the anticipation of joining my guys and all the barflies around the world to talk Chicago Bears football on a Friday night, heading into a long weekend, Aldo, for me.
Yeah, how about it? Pretty
Father's Day. Have you seen any of those memes that are fucking hilarious about Mother's Day?
No.
You got the big burger with the lobster tail for Mother's Day.
Yeah.
And then for Father's Day, you got this fucking White Castle burger smushed down.
I'm fine with that.
We'll take what we can get.
Exactly.
And what would Greg Bragg say?
I don't know why you two complaining. I have to catch up on my carbs.
I take a side of tacos with a full entree of fuck you.
Leave the jokes to us, Braggs.
So you guys are at a little bit of a disadvantage because you're not seeing the comments from the chat on YouTube. So
which means we can only see the YouTube comments in YouTube, which means we see the majority of them. But for people that are posting from Facebook or Twitch or Twitter, unfortunately, we won't be able to see them in the chat that we normally can see on our studio. But if you're in the YouTube chat, we can see your comments. So if you're on a different platform, move over to YouTube if you want to see us read your comments.
Yes, and absolutely, I can read them all, and I'll be flashing as many of them.
Candy is going to be flashing us.
You don't want to see that. By the way, speaking of flashing, should I flash that T-shirt?
Throw it up there.
Right. Hold on. Look at this. As many of you know, we'll be entering the Patreon program, and one of the tiers for sending a little cash to the guys is that you will receive this gorgeous T-shirt. I know a lot of you are. I know Chris Sandlin right now is saying, I get one for free, right? Yes, Chris, you do.
Yes, he does. I will buy Chris Sandlin's for him and his wife.
There you go.
They deserve it.
Absolutely. Zach says, my order shipped. Oh, he's talking to Alex. Everybody's talking to Alex now about orders that are shipped. And so we want to thank everyone who has already put orders into the swag shop. And Phil, I know you always like to give shout outs to people for all of the generous purchases that people have been doing. So please go ahead, and then we'll move on to Chuck Pagano.
You got 49 minutes, Phil. Go ahead.
No, I think it's something. It's very humbling when people are proud of a product to the extent that they want to support you by wearing something that represents you and the show and everything that you are all involved in. And I can't thank those people enough. I mean, listen, it's been a journey to get here with us, and I'm proud of where we are and where we're going. I mean, we didn't have a show because we're working behind the scenes in how to make it better, and Patreon amazing, and have more stuff for you people that are going out there and really being ambassadors of what we do here, and how real talk, real football talk, real guests, no bullshit. I know people are texting me earlier today. My shirts came in. My shirts are on the way. I'm so proud of what you guys are doing. Keep it up. You're my escape, la da 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 down the line. So represent. I'm wearing my swag right now. Look at that. Tape never lies. I love the fact that people are proud of what we're doing. If that's the case, then we're doing something right, Aldo. And that's where we are.
Absolutely.
Phil, you're my escape.
Steph's going to be jealous.
I want to give a shout out to Johnny Santucci, Joe Mandel, Dan Aguirre, Aaron. I'm going to mispronounce your last name, so I'll just say Aaron.
Halski.
Thank you. They did I have a street
learning all the names.
Ryan KB just texted me and said, "Fuck you, Braggs."
Yeah, I had Jenny run me through a flashcards of everyone on the barroom, so I wouldn't ever fucking do that again.
So shout out to those guys that just did I have a stream show on Mixler, and they finished up just a little while ago, and they'll be joining us here in the chat momentarily, but try to take a listen to their show on your podcast stream. It is an excellent show to get to know what's going on in the download stream world of HBO, Netflix, Hulu, etc., etc. They always have some good advice and great reviews, and it's just a fun show. And listening to Dan Aguirre's sex stories is always a treat. All right. When the four of us talked about doing the show, we said, yeah, let's keep it down to an hour and so forth. And then I saw that Chuck Pagano's interview with the media was a half hour. So I said, yeah, I don't know if we're going to be able to get to the end.
Hey, slow down, Chuck.
Right. So what we're going to do is just focus on the defensive coordinators as Greg is focusing on.
Greg is our Adam Schefter breaking news. That's what he's doing. Did they say my name?
He's such a handsome fellow.
Look at the stuff flying off his beard, and he does that. It's disgusting.
You laying
sawdust. It's freaking.
We got to get a makeup artist for Greg because he's a little shiny tonight. You notice that? He's a little shiny.
He is.
Yes.
He looks like
it's a lamp.
He's a little.
Turn the lamp.
Oh,
He looks a little squeaky like John Buffon did the other night in our meeting.
This is my professional lighting, Aldo. I have my professional lighting, which is this here, right here.
Jeez.
I love you, brother.
You gotta fake it till you make it.
So let's start with Pagano being asked about Robert Quinn, and the follow-up question was about Khalil Mack. So I've melded those two sound bites together. Let's listen to him talk about his two-star pass rushers.
Obviously a really, really talented football player, a guy that, everybody just thinks he can rush a passer, but, he's relentless, he's tough, he's athletic, he's physical, he'll play really good against the run. There's some things that he'll have to adapt to from a schematic standpoint, but he's done a great job to this point with picking up the playbook stuff, but just his ability to rush the passer, come off the edge, and he's a great pro. He's a great teammate. He's a great person. He's got, a lot of times he'd be on a call and he'd be in the weight room in the basement of his house or wherever it was. I've never been to his house, but I know he's got a workout facility there. So he'd be working out, a lot of the times when we're on the call. So when coach says, hey, I know he's been working out, I've seen it firsthand, just like Coach Ted has. But he's determined. We want to be the best, defense in the National Football League. And he wants to be one of the best players in the National Football League. But more importantly, he just wants to win. He doesn't care about anything else. And when you win, everybody, there's enough cheese to go around. And all he cares about is winning and getting in the dance, getting in the show, getting in the playoffs, and giving ourselves a chance to win the ultimate goal, the one goal that Coach always talks about, and that's the trophy.
Guys, listening to Chuck Pagano talk about these two pass rushers, to me, one of the major storylines of the NFL for the 2020 season is going to be.
He never fails to impress.
It's a guaranteed laugh. It's like a laugh trap.
Like one of those hamsters. He's like one of those hamsters on those fucking wheels. Just gets out. You're like, look at that moron on the fucking wheel. He's like, yeah.
Greg taking
pretty soon, another 32 minutes. Greg's going to be licking his own balls on here, probably.
I'm sorry that I'm just doing my fucking job.
I gotta, pure honesty here. I gotta come 100. One of the many laughs that we get is one of the mistakes that I make. I was trying to get Greg off the feed because he's looking down for close up, and everybody erupts in laughter.
Every one of us must have been looking at Greg at the same time.
I literally don't have to say anything. You just move the camera to me, and then everyone just starts making fucking jokes.
Bye. But what I was going to say is that this, to me, is one of the major storylines of the 2020 NFL season, is that you have these two premier pass rushers, and anything less than 25 sacks between the two of those guys could be a major disappointment. Phil and Shane, take it away.
Yeah, we talked about it, and anybody that knows me knows my disparaging remarks for Ryan Pace's move up for one player, and that was Leonard Floyd, not Mitch Trubisky. And Leonard couldn't get it done. And you go out there, and we talk about the holy trinity of football on the field would be quarterback, pass rusher. And that's how it goes. So sometimes if you miss on those high picks, Aldo, you gotta find that replacement. And as we joked around and had a whole show breaking Shane's balls about not crediting me, Robert Quinn, and all this other shit, Shane knows how excited I am about this football player, because sometimes I don't think people realize, like Shane said, we do have day jobs and we analyze and we put in the work, but I don't hype people up. Like, I don't try to find positive in Mitch Trubisky. I just tell you what I see. I don't try to find negative in a player. I just tell you what I see. Robert Quinn, to me, is a guy that's going to beat every one-on-one situation he finds himself in, because he has the answer, whether it be speed or bend, dip, rip. He's got counter moves. He's got the ability to counterbalance himself, almost like a guy that's riding a wave. If you ever watch when the surfer's in the wave and they can counter their balance to stay within the cusp of that break. When you're in offense of tackles, pads, and he's trying to drive you past, you got to counterbalance your weight and bend and dip and get under him to get to the quarterback. And so many times you see Robert Quinn doing that. So to have that opposite the second best player I've ever seen in a Bears uniform in Khalil Mack. I mean, you heard Olin Kreutz talking about Mack. He destroys a whole side of an offensive scheme. That's Olin saying that. I'm saying it.
One guy.
One guy. One guy. Now, that's why I was so livid about Floyd. So, if I'm Pagano, like I always hear these questions, is Robert Quinn going to be able to transform into a 3-4? I know. Like, football, anybody that could play the game can play in any system. Just keeping it 100. That's an athlete. Number 94 now, I guess. Right, Shane?
Yeah.
He's going to wear the real 94. Please stand up. And he's going to come flying around that edge opposite this other man. And it's really, I just think back to all the great defenses the Bears had. They had two of those edges. Every Super Bowl defense, they have two of those edges that they're going to get after the quarterback. That's what wins games. If you don't have the star franchise QB, you better have those star pass
load up on
rushers.
defense.
Exactly.
Why do you think the Bears have been so good on defense all the years? They don't have that fucking quarterback.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's
You
true.
better have one or the other.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. You invest in the second then. And they did it. I'm excited. Like, on paper, I know this team is like, fuck you, Matt Miller, Lockenfora, Chris Sims, whoever the fuck else has this team finishing a certain way, because you've just upgraded your defense by twofold. Clinton Dix or any of those safeties that are going to win that. I just saw Dix being a liability. And now you got Quinn. Mm-hmm. Quinn versus Floyd is like Tyson versus, I don't know, Schmo. Some schlep that came in the ring.
He was a hell of a fighter, though. Schmo was. I was a big Schmo fan.
Hey, Shane,
Fat Mike's got his jersey.
let me
It's
change
Fat
that.
Mike versus Tyson in a fight. That's Floyd versus Mac.
I hear you, man. Then on the other side of this soundbite, I'd love for you to comment on this, because this is something we've talked about at a couple of points, but your complete thoughts on this will be very interesting. This is Pagano being asked about what adjustments Robert Quinn has to do to the 3-4. Actually, Pagano said it was a very good question because
I know. I saw this political speak, I called it.
well, I think it was a good question because of how it was phrased. He was asked, and I think it was Mark Potash,
Yes,
who
it
has
was.
to adjust more? Is it Coach Pagano or is it Robert Quinn? Because in Robert Quinn's press conference, which I promise we will share with you on our next show,
Oh, that's got to be.
yeah, because he had some really great comments. He was asked who has to adjust more. So this is Coach Pagano.
I think both, it's going to be, on myself and our staff to put all of our players in the best possible position to be successful. And so we'll be smart about that. There'll be some adjustment for him. I remember going to Indy in 2012 and, calling Robert Matheson and having a discussion, about playing the outside linebacker spot in a 3-4 and on all the things that come with that job title. And, he wasn't under contract at the time, and it took a long time, a lot of film, a lot of dialogue, to get him to say, okay, I'm in. I can handle that job description. So there's definitely some hurdles to get over, but we'll do the right thing for Robert. We'll do the right thing for the entire defense to put them all in the best possible position to be successful.
Shane, your thoughts on what Pagano just said about getting Robert Quinn in a position to be successful?
You put him on the field, he's in a position to be successful on this defense.
Exactly.
I mean,
Exactly.
You've heard the term paralysis by analysis, and that's why I always have to laugh. They're like, well, this guy never played this guy played mainly in a 4-3 and, has his hand in the dirt. And listen, he's never played across from a guy like Khalil Mack.
I know.
He's got fucking Eddie Goldman, Akeem Hicks, Danny Trevathan. Yeah, exactly.
Hicks.
A healthy Akeem Hicks.
Oh.
Roquan Smith, if everything is straight. I'm not worried about Robert Quinn's adjustment into the system. The Bears spent $70 million is what his contract was. The guarantee was what, $30 million over 2 years. So they spent the $30 million for what reason? One reason: go get the quarterback. Remember Chuck last year? We want our guy going this way, not this way. That's why they brought Robert Quinn here. That's it. That's why Leonard Floyd is gone. That's why Leonard Floyd's playing for the Rams now, because he couldn't win the one-on-ones. Mack was getting all the attention. Hicks was getting attention when he was healthy and when he was in there. Floyd couldn't win his one-on-one matchups. Listen, just sit back and enjoy the ride is all I'm going to tell you as Bears fans, because when you see everybody says that the offense takes time to catch up. Just wait. This defense is going to come out with all cylinders firing in week 1. That's the way that this veteran defense, and watch the fucking pass rush. You're going to have a healthy defensive line. You're going to have these 2 pass rushers on the outside. I don't worry one bit about Robert Quinn's transition here, other than I guess maybe you could say him getting the $30 million and being 30 years old, and maybe he's going to get lazy. I guess you could phrase it that way, worry about that. But I just don't think that he's built that way. If you watch this guy, he's relentless. He doesn't give up. He's got a nonstop motor. Right, exactly.
Pop on The Tape Never Lies and watch Robert Quinn, and then close your eyes and think Khalil Mack and Akeem Hicks are going to be on the field with him.
Right, and don't forget my boy Goldman, because he's going to be a key in all of this. We've heard every person on here. Eddie Goldman is going to be a game dictator by moving about 3 feet forward and just occupying space and occupying offensive linemen. And that's the whole key to this. Why Floyd was jettisoned was simple. It was always simple. You need to get after the quarterback in this defense. Batman needs Robin.
But
we have that now.
He's good at setting the edge and tackling and drop. He's good coverage, Leonard Floyd.
Yeah, good.
You traded up in the draft to get a pass rusher.
To get a
mediocre
sack the
quarterback.
Center. Right.
Not to get a mediocre drop back outside.
There's people out there that want to give Leonard Floyd $50 million.
Yeah, they probably work on a bad network or analyze completely wrong. Let me just say this.
Please.
Again, the Bears are in nickel defense. I say 82%. Shane says 78%. Whatever it is. Whatever Cars is going to come up with. Okay? The reality is a nickel front is even or odd with 4 down linemen going after the passer. That's what his job is. That's why he was signed here. And you got 2 of the best. And when I say in watching film, that dip and bend that I'm talking about, I have not seen that on anybody with this kind of closing short area burst. So to have that with freaking Khalil Mack on the other side, I just, as a football coach, I'm telling you, to Shane's point, listen, there's going to be people that are stat scouts that we're going to be screaming at. Like, well, they didn't get any sacks. They didn't get any sacks this week. Well, watch the Olin Kreutz show on 100 Proof, and he'll tell you about the Rams game where they were just totally conscious. We're not going to throw anything 5-step. It's just 1, 2, 3, drop. 1, 2, 3, check. 1, 2, 3, check down. Because they know one sack, one turnover is going to turn the whole tide of the game. And that's what people are going to have to face. They're going to face Jaws when they come to play the Bears. You just get that sound, that music going. Every third down, it should be Barroom. That
Right.
shit would be phenomenal.
Right. They play the Jaws theme on 3rd and long. Yeah,
Exactly.
They're coming.
They're coming. And you know how fired up? Like, that's the kind of shit as a coach that I would do. Because I'm like psychotic about that shit. I told the story to Aldo about the band teacher.
Yeah.
He wouldn't play the fight song. So I fucking brought in a DJ to do it and avoid the band. So get the Jaws theme, Greg. Hopefully you could pull that off with your friends over in the media department.
Although I saw the
I
comment
think it's a great idea. I definitely will put in the work.
I
Thank
saw
you.
the comment that you
Thank
put
you,
up
Greg.
there about Robert Mathis talking on the radio show and saying that one of the edge guys was the pass rusher and the other guy was to drop into coverage. And will that be different here? Or do you think it's still in play now? No, that's not in play here, because if that wasn't, you're not investing $70 million in Robert
Right.
Quinn to drop him into coverage. If the Bears wanted a guy that was mediocre to average in that, or I would say I'd put him up a little bit more than that, they would have just kept Leonard Floyd,
Exactly.
because that's what he's actually functional at. Robert Quinn was brought here to bring down quarterbacks. End of story. End of story. It's that simple. There's no other way around it.
Exactly.
This defense is at its best when they're taking the ball away, when they're creating turnovers. You do that by getting after the quarterback, by forcing him into quick throws, by tipping the ball, by bringing the quarterback down. These two guys right here are going to give you that ability.
Oh my God!
You're
There's
gonna
a play a 3-step drop.
And-
He
right.
put the best left tackle in football on an island
Yeah.
just with his takeoff. The tackle is worried so much he oversets and he comes right underneath on a 3-step. Boom! Hits the quarterback who's throwing the ball
Phil,
anywhere.
Their prize free agent, obviously Robert Quinn, investing the money there. And what did they do in the draft? They went after guys in the secondary that go after the
Corner.
football.
He's not afraid to gamble. The pirate.
Right. They're going to be guys that are going to force the issue. They're going to bait quarterbacks into mistakes. They're going to jump routes. They're going to go after the football. That's where you're going to see those
Different than Prince, who
Absolutely.
liked to sit back. He bad hands. You don't know. He got his hands on a lot of balls in 2018.
I just think you always hear about that cliff with players when they get to 30, especially cornerbacks, running backs especially. Unfortunately, we saw that up close and personal. We saw Prince go over that cliff. Great guy, everything. But, Jalen Johnson is a guy that's going to go get it. Tayshaun Gibson.
We're going to talk about Jalen Johnson just momentarily, but I want to finish on the Robert Quinn, Khalil Mack topic. This is Chuck Pagano talking about why did Khalil Mack's numbers decrease in terms of sack totals. So this is Chuck Pagano.
First thing you do is look at yourself and say, from a call standpoint, I know I'll be better and can be better to put him and put the rest of the guys in position to be successful. So a lot of that falls, on myself. And I know Ted talked about, protectors and protections and things like that. So a lot of that falls on me, and I take responsibility for that, and I'm accountable for that. Khalil would never say that. He would just say, hey, look, I got to win. I got to be better. I don't care how many guys they put on me.
Guys, I have to say that Chuck took was accountable for that, and I have to agree because I actually saw Mack drop back in pass coverage more than I expected. It was less than his first year with the Chicago Bears, but it was more than I expected because Pagano a year ago today basically was saying when you got a guy like Mack, you want him going forward. You want him going forward. And there were times where I didn't see him going forward. He was going back.
And they talked about Mack having a shoulder injury, and I know there's a lot of people out there that'll say that that's just, he had a bad year, so you're gonna bring up an injury and say that that's the reason that his numbers were down. But they said absolutely he was playing with a shoulder injury. And Phil, you can speak to this as a player, as a guy who was actually on the field. when you're getting very what's that, Greg? Exactly. No, you can't have your mom back.
Ever was on the field.
Yeah. But you can speak to it when you're getting double and triple teamed consistently. That takes you so much out of you. And this is what I want. Just before we move off of this, just to go back, Phil, speak to this as a coach and somebody that knows systems. When you're talking about Robert Mathis and Dwight Freeney from the system that they came in, Tony Dungy, it was the Tampa 2 defense. How much of a different exactly? How much? But just explain to maybe the person that doesn't get that how that would affect the defense, the two defensive ends assignments in like a cover 2 versus what Pagano is doing here and with what we mainly do.
Well, you could be more aggressive. When you're playing Tampa 2, it's kind of known. Everybody, all right, in third down.
Bend, don't break. Right.
Yeah, we're going to bend, don't break, and hopefully our pass rush, someone wins their matchup and gets to it with the defense playing the ball. With this kind of pass rushers, obviously you're going to see you're going to see all different coverages on the backside. And there's going to be a lot more aggressiveness. We talked about Pagano coming in here and being more aggressive. Remember, blitzing and stuff? Well, if you have a guy that can't win one-on-one, it kind of pushes you out in regards to being that much more aggressive to try to – you get too predictable. So if you can win with 4, now you're fucking playing aggressive. Now the fucking – blitzes are coming more often because you know on the back end they can handle themselves man to man, and you know on the front end they can win and they're going to get home. So think about it. You go up into press man and you call out and check it to cover 2, but you stay in press man to give them that look. Your pass rush stays the same. Now you knock them off their route and get back into zone. The quarterback's done because he's seeing man. Now your zone, he split second changes his thoughts. Your defensive ends win. That's what you get. And I mean, I get so excited about these two animals on the outside, and then you got Akeem Hicks coming back. So
and don't forget the kid that you drafted. I'm telling you, don't.
Oh yeah, Gibson.
Right.
The kid Gibson from Tulsa. He's got that mentality. So
you have the third fastball that you need. You have the third fastball that you need that the Bears, everybody was sitting back who is going to be that third guy that you need. Right. Listen, that's how teams
I was going to take a pass rusher
early, right?
Early,
I know Berlissimo and I were both big fans of Uche from Michigan. Right, that's a guy that I 100% was all over in round 2. Yeah. You just can't have enough of them. What separates you from being a good defense to an elite defense is being able to take one of your top guys off the field and bring in another fucking fastball that's going to get after the quarterback. Because Khalil Mack, what he's doing, that's why you saw him drop back into coverage. That's essentially saying, Mack, all right, we're going to give you a breather here.
Exactly.
Right? That's essentially a play off.
Remember I told you I would cut all this tape and then my phone didn't fit it, and I wanted to get the Quinn stuff out there because I felt it was more relevant. But you're looking at Khalil Mack, there's a chip. There's a back that's coming to his side to give him another chip, and then the tackle now can set and eat. Think about it. It's a freaking 3.5, 4 second play. He's gotten hit by the back, hit by the tight end, then the tackle's coming. Sometimes it's guard, center, and tackle all going after the same guy. And it's so crazy that the guy's still a beast. Still a beast. And people are like, hey, where's the sacks, man? Where are the sacks?
Just go to Game Pass. Go to Game Pass. Listen, there's obviously no live games, no OTAs, practices, anything right now. Go to Game Pass. If you have 30 minutes free time where you don't have to worry about the kids, your wife, girlfriend, whatever, go there, fire up Game Pass, look at nobody but 52. I'm telling you, chart it what you see.
Yeah.
Tell me if he's singled, if there's another guy doubling, if there's a guy, if he's getting doubled and then he's getting fucking chipped by a third guy, what Phil said. Watch that. And then you wonder why the sack, and he's still making plays. The fact that he put up the numbers that he did is fucking so impressive. You heard a guy that's going to the Hall of Fame, number 57, Olin Kreutz, said, guys, this guy, he's a fucking alien. I would not want to face this defense. Olin Kreutz is a guy that he told you, I'm not afraid of anybody. I'll walk up to a dude and punch you in the mouth. I'm not afraid. And he's telling you, I want nothing to do with this front seven. Nothing as a player. That tells you all you need to know. That's not hype. That's not the dickhead from Locked On Packers. Whatever. It's fucking real. Peter Bukowski, exactly. That's not being a fucking fanboy. That's fact.
No, this
defense.
You haven't
is
even
the real
talked
deal.
about my boy Roy Robertson Harris, and you got Bilal Nichols. Berlissimo sent me a picture of Bilal. He looks like he's been, fucking power cleaning all summer. See, there's Berlissimo right on cue. So listen, there's no freaking hype here. There is no hype here. You have a Super Bowl defense. It's real, truthful talk on paper. There's a cornerback and a safety who I'm totally secure with Gibson because I believe in that football player big time. But if you're getting competition in there and they're talking like that, then hey, you always hear me say it. I heard, I think it was Larison who gave me some Tariq Cohen audio quoting Phil Etoshin. Competition breeds success. Competition breeds. So there we go. We got it there at the safety position. To me, if you got an ace in the hole, and that is Gibson, then now anybody else winning that, to me, is at that level of starter where I felt like Clinton Dix was along to cash a check. That's it.
Go back and re-air some of those fucking shows that we did talking specifically about Khalil Mack. That's when I believe Dan was on one episode because he had an issue with the sack numbers, everything like that. And that just, we talked about all of this while it was happening on the field. It never was Khalil Mack getting paid and getting fucking
Shane,
lazy.
do I say that somebody is the best player to Walter Payton to wear a bit? That's skipping over everybody that you can name right now. Dan Hampton, Mack is better. Richard Dent, Mack is better. I've seen all these guys play. I'm telling you on tape, it's like I said to my father, please, could you look at this? He takes the fucking offensive tackle, just jabs him so quickly, and just takes him off his fucking feet. That's 325-pound, 6'7" man with one arm. Just jacked him, throws him, and comes in and cleans up.
Well, and if I may, I think it's a results-driven perception. Just like with, looking at the offense, and when they do well, it's like, oh, everybody's doing great. You're throwing flowers at everybody, and then when they're doing bad, everybody starts combing everything with a fine-tooth comb.
That's sad.
And so for me, with Khalil last year, 2018, he's going crazy. The whole team was healthy. The whole defense was healthy. They're flying around the ball. Then last year, what happens? The London game, where I sat right next to Berlissimo in what maybe had been the South End Zone. I don't know. It was an amazing stadium. But as soon as Akeem Hicks came out, they started running right at Khalil Mack. They could do, and now all of a sudden you're looking at like, why can't, well, he's got three guys on him. And if they're running it right at him. And if they're throwing it, they're getting it out in 3 seconds, as Josh Wood said, as Olin Kreutz said. And then all of a sudden you're going, well, why isn't he doing anything? Well, he needs the guy in the middle. That's not an indictment on Khalil Mack. They need that health in the middle. And then obviously guys like Bilal Nichols, Roy Robertson Harris, and your guy that just came back from Connecticut. I'm sorry, I'm losing his name right now. These are big years for
John Jenkins.
Yes, John Jenkins.
Let me say this, to give you a basketball analogy, which I don't normally do. What if Michael Jordan was off the Bulls? How would they play? Would Scottie Pippen take over? and be the best? Maybe.
You've obviously never heard of Pete Myers. Fucking awesome.
Exactly.
He obviously only got through 4 episodes of the Last Dance documentary.
I didn't get there yet.
It
But
happened in 95.
I'm just saying. Here you go. Akeem Hicks is your centerpiece. He's the pivot man. So if he's taking on double teams, now Khalil Mack doesn't have to worry, and somebody else is working one-on-one. Football, it's a game of matchups. It really is. So if you can get him, remember when you all were saying, everybody and their brother, like, how the fuck are they kicking to Devin Hester? Like, what are you doing? And that's how great he is, to Greg's point, because I would have buried Yurko, by the way, if I was on that show.
Yeah, I was waiting for Greg to bring up punt return. Or Yurko's worried about kick returns. I'm like, nobody's talking about punt returns where he's by far the best in fucking
He's not even close.
We got to have Yurko back on 100.
We got to bring him on 100 because I was getting so irritated. I'm like, what are you? I mean, how many?
Well, like I said,
I just kept going. We don't want to keep going. But Khalil Mack is that ridiculous. Like Devin Hester's ridiculous, right? You don't leave Khalil Mack one-on-one as a coach, as an offensive coordinator. You're all week long preaching. Okay, quarterback. We get to the line. Where is 52? This is how we're going to block this front if we have to. That's how crazy. So if Akeem goes out, now it's easier because now you can scheme it and block it the way you want because he's won. Now, with the double, with the defensive lineman at 6'5", 338 pounds, whatever he's checking in now, and he can move like that, now you got to account for 2. Oh, by the way, Aldo, there's a third over there. And I'm just talking about in the pass rush scheme. That's why I know if Pagano goes out and it's like, fuck everybody, get the Jaws theme going on second down, you will be destroying people's confidence. And that's what the 2018 Bears did. I mean, you felt it in the stadium. Third down against the Packers. That place was rocking. You knew they were coming. Even fucking Leonard Floyd was eating a little bit. He was like he got out of the kids' table at Thanksgiving. So here you have grown man defensive line. Khalil Mack, I could spend hours. I own his jersey. I think the world of the football player because of what he could do on the football field. You line him up at nose guard, he could fucking do it because this isn't a guy that's just a pass rusher. He'll come down the fucking line. I mean, and destroy people. Think about the Detroit game when he comes flying down the line, punches the ball right out. You're getting a turnover in the red zone. The guy is always around the football, and if he's playing hurt, and he did what he did without Akeem Hicks on the tape, not the sack stats, you're really missing out on what is gladiator poetry.
And if I could add to this, and Aldo can attest to this, last year was the first time I got to see Khalil Mack, and thank God we did at Bourbonnais, because he wasn't there in 2018 because they got him after camp. And I have never...
I remember you telling me this.
Ever. And I said it with Yurko on Shy Fans earlier in the week because he was talking about how bad Mitch in the offense looked at camp last year. I go, I blame that a lot on Khalil Mack. And this isn't revisionist history. We were saying it in the stands at the time. He would literally... I've never... No Brian Urlacher, no Tommy Harris, no Lance Briggs. I don't care. Any of the great defensive players I've seen in the last 20 years at Bourbonnais. I have never seen a guy literally blow up play after play after play, and they're not tackling the quarterback. He's blowing up plays where they know he can't hit the quarterback. I mean, when you talk about unparalleled display of athleticism, greatness, you were seeing that last year at camp.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
And it not only speaks to the greatness of Khalil Mack, but also speaks to the team's offensive tackles.
That's a great point. It's a great point.
You better come in. Well, if your coach isn't going full speed, it's a great, like, Just me as a coach.
that's where
I was a big believer. You gotta go live in team. I was a big believer in team, and what that means for those of you that haven't played the game, team is okay. The whole team, we're getting up and we're going live for 7 plays. 11 on 11. Team, we're going live. We're not taking anybody to the ground. But the offensive line versus the defensive line, they're going live. I want you. You're blocking the best right now, Leno. You're blocking the best. That's where you learn. Because the next motherfucker, this is like, when you put the heavy weight on the bat. You swing the bat, and I'm timing up the pitcher. Then you take the weight off the bat. The bat's swinging light. That's how it should be for you, practicing against the best. Now you're swinging light against some fucking pass rusher.
That was the question I posed in the stands at the time. I'm sitting with Aldo and my buddy Luis Medina. We're sitting there, and I'm asking the question, is he so... Because I know iron sharpens iron. And you're sitting there at practice going, well, he's got to be making the tackles better. He's got to be making Mitch better because he's got to react better. He's got the best defensive end going at him. But it literally, for me, got to a point where I thought he was hurting their progression. And I've never seen anybody that great. Is that possible to be so good that you could hurt a developmental tackle or a developmental quarterback, so to speak, progression?
Yes. We're gonna move on now. We're gonna. Thank you, Jane. We're going to move on now and talk about the back half because we've gotten a lot of comments in the chat room about Jalen Johnson, the Chicago Bears prized cornerback that was picked with the 50th pick. This and Pagano talked for about 3-4 minutes about Johnson, his prized cornerback. I've whittled it down to about a minute. This is what he said.
He asked the right questions. There's a lot of times where, especially for young players, they don't know what to ask. So I know that he's been exposed to some really good football and had good coaches there, at Utah. And so he gets football and he asks the right questions. So just sitting in those meetings and listening to him talk, the dialogue going back and forth between, him and Deshae was intriguing and exciting. And then from a, skill set standpoint, he has, the talent to go out and do all the things that we're going to ask him to do from a coverage standpoint, run support standpoint. He can run. He's got good length. He can play up. He can play off. He can read the 3-step. He's really good at plant and drive. Breaking downhill on the 3-step. Playing with good eyes and good feet and all those kind of things. And Deshae hit on those, but he's a talented guy and he's a smart guy. And again, those guys are going to be behind, obviously, with no off-season program. Just the whole feel of driving up to the building, going in the building, going through cafeteria and then the weight room, the training room, and that whole process. They don't have any clue yet. We did virtually the best that we could, but until that happens, there's going to be a learning curve there. But I think he'll be ahead of it just because of his football IQ and acumen and things like that.
It's going to be huge, isn't it, Shane, to have this young kid who is not only athletically gifted but also an incredibly smart defensive back.
Looking at Pagano there, aren't you waiting for him to wave goodbye to Demi Moore and then just walk into the fucking clouds and into the light? You know what I mean? It's like, man, fix your lighting, bro. Just a little bit.
They need a director of photography over at Hallis Hall or
Did you see Lauren Screeden? I don't know if it was on Instagram or on Twitter. She was doing her OneChicagoBears.com thing, and she showed she had everything set up in her bathroom and had the Greg Bragg's fucking lamp turned to the side against her sink. And I'm like, hey, at least she's trying. Chuck's just fuck it.
And I was just going to suggest Greg Braggs for the job of being the director of visuals at with the Chicago Bears. But then I'm looking at that image now of him in his garage with his lamp and
my lamp and my baby Trubisky jersey. Every time I put a jersey in, everybody thinks it's a baby jersey. It is an optical illusion. Let me stand
75% off at Baby Gap.
Yeah, watch this. It is an optical illusion. It's amazing.
It's a fucking XL.
So far away from the wall for some reason.
You had that Ditka jersey, and it looked like a friggin'.
Well, Larison, my good buddy Larison, is saying the same thing about this one now.
He's right though. But no, back to Jalen Johnson. I mean, I think if you really go back and watch that clip and concentrate on Chuck's face and his expressions, to me, he's trying to hold back his giddiness on that the Bears actually got this kid. To me, it's pretty obvious. I mean, without the shoulder injuries, this guy's a top 20 talent all day long. We talked about that on the night of the draft. Shoulder injuries do give me pause. We haven't had good luck with stuff like that in Chicago, but obviously the Bears had him very high. And I mean, if you can get a top 20 talent that's going to stay injury free, and he doesn't have to come in and be your number one cornerback, he doesn't have to be Kyle Fuller. He can be that other guy right now, and he just literally just turned 21 years old. That's, I mean, what's going to make him even better, Phil, is how important is the pass rush in front of you to your secondary. Your secondary, when you're looking at it, 50% of your secondary is going to be new guys with Johnson and Gibson.
You got a guy where the coach is trying to hold back, like you said, his enthusiasm, giving you. Listen, this guy's handpicked by Pagano. I can guarantee you that. The excitement there of getting that talent, to Shane's point, I'll just double down on it. If you get a guy that's able to break on three-step game in the NFL, and what that is he recognizes intuitively, listen, there's certain things that some players can do when it comes to the football field that people with the same 40 time, same athleticism can't do, because right up here, something inside of them works differently, and it shows up on tape. And when you see it, you just know it, and you're like, wow, this kid gets it. So I've defined coverage. To Shane's point, he doesn't have the pressure to be the other corner. You got that corner. You got an all-pro safety behind you. You got Khalil Mack, Quinn, and Akeem Hicks and Goldman. And now you're the young buck. What kind of person is this kid? He's an impressive young man who went to the University of Utah because they know how to teach defensive backs and teach them well. I mean, he's sharing that shit with you. He could have went anywhere in the country. He falls to the Bears. You might have lucked into something tremendously tremendous for your defense because of his ability to do it. He's a great
just like he did with Eddie Jackson. It could be
exactly,
one of those
exactly,
mid-round,
Aldo.
outside the first round picks that could be huge. So, I don't know if I ran the banner, but this kid, Jalen Johnson, was only the second cornerback picked since 2003. And the other two were Kyle Fuller and Peanut Tillman. So if he's anywhere in that league, that's going to be outstanding. So, I mean, that's, just meaningless trivia, but I'm just, keeping my fingers crossed that he
was the only one picked. You're talking about the top two rounds?
Top 2 rounds, correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Do you remember the guy I think it was maybe 02, maybe like in the Alex Brown draft, Roosevelt Williams, they called him Roweezy from like Tuskegee, I think he was from.
Yeah.
Do you remember that guy? I think they took him in like round 2.
Bust.
Yeah, I had high hopes for that guy.
Yeah.
Roe Williams.
Yeah, Roweezy,
I
Roosevelt
had
Williams.
his rookie card. I remember looking at it. I thought he was it looked like it was from Wake Forest, but you might, in my head, or Missouri. It looked like that in my head, but maybe he was from Tuskegee.
A lot of
to check in on that.
About Mr. Eddie Jackson, and this is Pagano on Eddie Jackson.
His versatility and I think he can do a lot of things. And whether it's playing in the deep parts of the field, and we all know that he's got rare instincts. He's got rare anticipation and range and ball skills. And so again, I got to do a better job of making sure that we accentuate those things and put him in position, to make plays, because he's a playmaker. And some of that, once you put that on tape that you're that guy, and you can go make plays. There's a lot of offensive coordinators and quarterback coaches, in our division, in our conference and around the league, and everybody that we're going to play is going to say, hey, if he's back there, if he's in the post, don't throw it anywhere inside the numbers. You better be outside the red lines, and if he's in this half of the field, go to the other side. And if he's over here, go over here. That's just part of the issue too, is that, a lot like Ed Reed, I mean, and he's watched a lot of tape, Eddie has, and he's got to figure out ways to mess with quarterbacks and make them believe one thing and then flip the script on them. That's just, when you're a talented player like that and you have those abilities, you're not always going to get the same amount of chances. But first and foremost, I got to do a better job of making sure that, again, like Khalil, like the rest of the guys on the defense, goes for everybody, that we put them in positions, that accentuate their strengths and minimize anything else, and give them a chance to be successful.
Phil, it's not only that, though. It is that other safety, right? Which is one of the big reasons why I hated to see Adrian Amos leave the team, because I thought he and Eddie Jackson was the perfect complement. And we're going to talk about what Pagano said about Tashawn Gibson coming up. But what are your thoughts about what Pagano just said about EJ?
He's right. When a player does something very good instinctively, it's up to you as a coach to make sure that you're in that scheme specifically for them to do what they do so well. So you can't be overthinking the process. And I thought watching the Chicago Bears play the game last season in definite situational football, they brought Eddie Jackson into situations where it took what Eddie does best away from Eddie, which ultimately it's called, cutting off your nose despite your face. You can't do that. And you need to look back, and he's saying the right things here, with Mac as well as Eddie, to get him to be that center fielder, to put him out there so he could play instinctive and fast. If that means you're in base coverage for freaking 30% of the game, so be it. Because you put the guy that's going to take away the football. You don't have to get so complex. A lot of these coaches always I would get to the point where I'm like, just base it off. Fucking base it. We're better than them. So let's just be basic and beat them with our guys playing fast. Some coaches have to, let's get them in the matchup. We got to take away. No, don't put them down on Kyle Rudolph. Put the other safety down. Leave him free and steal this fucking overpaid Cousins, who Chris Sims ranked over Drew Brees in his rankings. Get him down there to steal the football, because that changes the whole game. It does. And once Eddie starts, it's like, riding that bike or getting that perfect beat if you're a rapper. If you're a singer, that perfect melody, hitting the right note, whatever you do. For cars, it's getting the perfect equation. Math equation. He knows how to do it. Whatever it is, you do it to the perfection of what it is that you do. And that's really what Eddie does well. He's going to get on that bike once he gets that first interception. There's a play in 2018 against Detroit. Eddie stands on the hash and knows exactly where Stafford's going to go pre-snap.
Thanksgiving game.
Yes, Thanksgiving. Thank you. Yes. And he does the fucking Philatotion shuffle left to give him the false look and goes right there. Boop! Pick six. Game over. The whole mentality of the Detroit Lions has failed now. They're done. You get those home runs like that with a guy like this. Got to do it, Coach. You can't talk about it. You have to do it.
Okay, Shane, we've talked about Tashawn Gibson. Let's listen to what Pagano says, and then I want your thoughts on the free agent pickup, Tashawn Gibson.
He's a talented guy. He's a smart guy. He's a great pro. Coach talked about him earlier. He's played a lot. He's got a ton of experience. He's an athletic guy. He can play in the deep parts of the field. He's got good coverage skills. He can play down in the box. And so from a versatility standpoint, it's going to be great to have him. Like Sean said, with all these guys, he knows he's going to have to come in and compete. And then one thing I'm really excited about is just the competition, at that spot and a lot of spots on defense, so there's going to be great competition there. But he's a smart guy. He's played a lot of football, so I'm excited to actually, get to see him up front, close and in person.
Competition, Shane. Isn't that a beautiful word in the game of football?
It is. It really is. And this is the one thing that made me happy. Listen, I was just as excited as Phil was when they brought in Gibson. Kind of wasn't expecting it at first. They brought him in. But what made me even more happy, Aldo, to your point about competition, is they didn't fucking hand him the job. And, people can sit back and say that stuff like that doesn't matter. No, it does. That gives a guy that's been in this defense on this team since he was drafted, that's really he's played a little bit sporadically, but that gives a guy like Deion Bush even more motivation to go out there and bust his ass and try to secure the strong safety spot on this team, against Tashawn Gibson. Is he the perfect complement to Eddie Jackson? I don't think he's the perfect complement. Is he very serviceable and a savvy vet like Chuck said? Absolutely. He's a guy that's going to come in there. I think he's obviously more physical than Ha-Ha is. He's shown the ability. Yeah, he's shown the ability to take the ball away, to break on the football, and he. I feel you'd probably agree that he's probably a little bit more of a free safety than how they're going to use him here.
But to your point, he is more physical and takes pride.
Yep.
When I look at Gibson,
he's not going to shy away from it. Yeah,
exactly.
He's not going to shy away from it.
He's not throwing a shoulder. This motherfucker's wrapping up, and that, if you're trying, I'm okay. If you're fucking making business decisions, I'm not. But yeah, sorry. I think, just to double piggyback off of you, this is your answer here. I love this move. You give Deion the opportunity. You're not just handing the job.
It's not about saying that Deion is. I know Chubb's put in the chat that Deion's got zero shot at starting. Don't agree with that. I think he's got a shot. Anything can happen. I mean, injuries, he can just find shit can click. For a guy in the system. So I'm not gonna completely write him off. Do I expect Gibson to be the starter? I do. I do. You can't undersell what it means to a player to at least know that they have the opportunity to go out there and compete for the spot. These guys know if they get beat out legitimately, if Deion Bush goes out there and gets beat out legitimately by Gibson, that's what it is. Then he's a valuable piece as your third safety. So to me, there's no downside here whatsoever. I mean, you have the ultimate wild card, game changer, coverage dictator, guy that can clean up the fucking mess back there, like you said. He can watch Matthew Stafford. He can diagnose where the play is going to go before it's even fucking made, and house that interception that essentially ends the game. So to me, it's one of those moves and the Bears brought him in here, I believe, for vet minimum in Gibson. So it's a high upside move with very little downside to it. And to me, it still makes Deion Bush, it gives him a crack in the door. And even if he doesn't kick the door in, he can still be a valuable member of that secondary moving forward, where depth is always a concern for every NFL team.
And then you got the COVID situation that lingers. You don't know. So the more players you got, I even heard today from a good source that they're thinking about extending the practice squad up to 16 players. 16 players. That, to me, should have happened years ago anyway, and a bunch of other stuff to get something in the system, because there's too many.
And extend the active roster, too.
Yeah, exactly. Just fucking 53. I mean,
crazy.
It's so dumb. I've heard the arguments. To me, it is the dumbest shit. You know, it doesn't make sense on advantage.
As brutal as it is.
Exactly.
Right. I was just going to say that, Phil, you would know better than any of the four of us, given that.
Oh, my God.
Hey, I did one Oklahoma drill, Aldo.
I'm not saying you wouldn't know anything about it.
Had a lot of concussions.
Know that you would, as a coach, love to have at your disposal more players. And from a safety standpoint, it just makes sense to be able to say, okay, let me go to my third string defensive lineman, because my first and second defensive lineman, they're hurting a little bit, but they're not active because the fucking NFL rules won't allow me to play them.
Who's on that committee with the NFL rules? Because maybe Berlissimo or Barflies around can reach out to get that person on this show, because this has been one of the things I would love to talk, because I've always heard the rationale behind it with giving the other team that might not be as healthy advantage. I'm like, that's football. That's football. That's why there's a line for Mike North's bet show. You got to go by that. The more players in the system that can learn it, the less you're picking up a guy off the street to play on a Sunday that's not prepared to play on it. It just, to me, it's so frustrating, that whole thing. Like, play all 53.
Got it. All right, I've got one more soundbite that I actually have two more, but we're already 12 minutes over our time. So I want to play this one because it's about one of our favorite players. It is Heidi's favorite player. It is a good friend of Greg Bragg's and Berlissimo. So I've got to squeeze in here Chuck Pagano talking about Akeem Hicks and what a leader he is on and off the field.
You can't replace it. You can't replace it on the field, certainly. We're different when he's out there and playing at a high level than when he's not. And in the meeting room and around our guys, he's a wise man. He's a smart guy, and he gets it. He knows what's going on. And when he speaks, people listen. It's like the old E.F. Hutton commercial. I don't even know if anybody remembers that, but he's a smart guy, and he's got a ton of wisdom. And the great thing about him is he'll share it. There's a lot of great players and great leaders and stuff and men that played this game that won't take the time to help young players and share their knowledge and their wisdom. But Keem's different that way. He's just a phenomenal human being, and again, he gets it and he understands. And his presence, in the meetings, on the field, at practice, in the building, just sitting at the cafeteria table, just chopping it up with whoever. I mean, it's huge. And I just remember him walking out of the exit meeting after the season, and the time that he missed because of the injury, and then coming back in the Green Bay game and playing the way that he played, and then re-injuring the elbow and being out again. That again, he's really, really hungry and really eager to get back on the field and be with his brothers out there competing and playing. He's a great man. Got nothing but great love and respect for him.
Phil, I You know my philosophy on buying jerseys. I don't like to buy jerseys of current players. The Trubisky jersey I have was a gift. The Khalil Mack jersey I had was a gift. I like to buy the retro jerseys because it's my way of paying tribute to a person who has proven themselves over their long career. But if I were to make one exception today, I would buy Akeem Hicks's jersey just because I love him so much personally from listening to him talk and telling David Hall to shut the fuck up. It's just great. Hicks is a really special guy, isn't he?
Oh, the personality, the articulation in his voice, the you could tell when he's the perfect guest here with us because he is us. He's breaking chops, he's joking around, but he's very heartfelt. He wears his heart on his sleeve. That's what the show is. And what he does on the football field is one thing. What he does off of it, the way he embodies the term leader, in my mind, it's immeasurable. It's invaluable because he can be comedic. And he could be sensitive, and he could be vulnerable. And all these things we've learned this offseason on this show, guys. We have. Oh, what about this? How about that, Greg? Khalil Mack, bobblehead.
Oh, look at that, Greg.
Yeah, Greg.
Phil's gonna have his Sid Luckman infomercial for a free bobblehead in
The
7 minutes.
bobblehead just starts appearing. As
I wish
he's talking.
Akeem had a bobblehead.
Uh-oh.
He deserves one. There it is. Oh,
Nice.
that's what
Not
I'm
even the
opening
best.
up.
It's not even the best caricature you have, Aldo.
Is that the one? That they
We
gave?
do have a quarterback.
Oh,
Chicago did have a quarterback at one
Get
point.
the other one to show the audience.
I was
So
gonna say, is
Shane
that the one from the
surprised
game?
Aldo on a birthday present.
J. Nick right there. J.
That's
Nick
right.
special. He's even
J.
got the
Nick.
tattoo.
Gandia.
Show him the ink. He's
Got
got the
the
Barroom
Barroom
ink.
tattoo.
Back
Yeah.
it up so they can see the detail on them socks and shoes. That's incredible stuff right there.
Look at that.
Yeah.
What's he
Got
wearing?
the bar-
Barroom shirt.
Yeah,
is
he's
wearing
got
Barroom
Bears
shoes.
Barroom.
That's
Those are
crazy.
those are Nikes. I
Yeah.
thought they were kangaroos for a second.
No, he's got his dick shoved into his socks just like Gandia does. It's fucking perfect.
He put the sock right over it so he didn't have to do like the detail on the bulge.
Akeem deserves a bobblehead. Akeem is a comedian. Akeem is amazing. Just like that statue you got there. Yeah, you can't. How could you heap more praise on the guy?
Do you remember, Phil, when he was a free agent coming out of New England? And I can remember we were on whatever we called the show at the time. It wasn't 100 Proof because Lauren Cox was on with us. And that was a guy that we had earmarked in free agency as somebody that was a sleeper that was going to come to a team and was really going to show something. And we, at the time, I believe it was between Chicago and Detroit for him leaving New England. And then Belichick entered the fray late and made a couple phone calls to Akeem to try to get him back in New England because New England had traded, I believe, like a third rounder to New Orleans for him.
Yep.
And Akeem said, no, I just feel Chicago is where I want to be. I think his mother was originally from here. And so that's where he wanted to be. And man, you can talk about the bad signings in free agency. I mean, every single GM has those. I don't care what anybody says. You know, free agency, if you're batting 250, you're lucky. I mean, it's full of minefields. The Bears poached him from New England, and man, that's a home run any way you look at it. I mean, just in terms of play, in terms of character, in terms of leadership, that is one of the moves when Ryan Pace is no longer here, or if he's here for a much longer time, that's going to always be a move that's right up towards the top of his list with Akeem Hicks.
Hey guys, I know that Greg has collected a ton of great material from the chat room, so I want to make sure we give him enough time to share at least some of those with us. But before we do that, I want to share something with you.
Where's the Darth Vader one? I haven't been breathing heavy today.
That's right. You haven't been.
That's why we're not playing.
I've been taking my medicine for my, Afrin, or the spray and Claritin. I'm trying to be clear for these shows. I'm so nasally. You guys have some, I don't know. My mic sounds different than yours. That always pisses me off. And then on top of that,
Probably has nothing to do with that. You're sitting 8 feet away from it.
Yeah, that
I'm
would
not.
have
I am not. Really, right here. Look.
It's getting deeper.
Look how
as
far away you
closer
have
to
your
yours.
pop screen from your fucking mic. You.
Well, I don't know how the fuck this works.
Oh my God.
Move the mic closer.
Bring it closer
To my
you.
face?
Yeah.
Oh, to your
No, to your
kneecap,
top.
dummy.
No, to your asshole.
Bring it closer to your butthole.
Is that better? Well,
Greg.
because then when I was
Can't make
leaning,
this guy up.
you guys a couple episodes ago, run the fucking tape back. We're saying
Hold on.
quit leaning into the mic. Back up. You're talking too loud.
How's everybody
Now
doing?
Because you were like.
Anyways, what I was trying to say about Mitch Trubisky was, I can't believe Shane's on a
That's
date
a
with
good-
mom tonight.
That's a good, appropriate distance, Greg. Lean in a little and
Damn
talk.
it. I'm gonna have to get
We're gonna get you
like a
perfect.
stick. Yeah, I'm gonna tape a stick to this
See
mic.
those S's
Then I'll
you-
know the exact distance. What are
This
you
is like-
talking
These
about?
lasers
Greg,
shoot
look how
through your
close
spine.
look how close I am to my mic right here.
Right, that's how close I am. Say
No,
what
you
not.
weren't.
Look at you.
You were not.
What is that called? A pop screen? Is that what it's called?
I don't
Yes.
fucking know.
It's
You had that 3 feet away.
Yeah. Hey, Greg, next time, because you're always the first one here, you and I will do an audio test, and I'll advise you on how to get a little closer and stuff.
Okay.
By the way, I want to, lots of people have been talking about this Khalil Mack bobblehead. This was sent to me by Foco, F-O-C-O. Go over to their website, Foco. They not only have these great bobbleheads, but they also
really?
have a number of other great bobbleheads. They're reasonably priced. In addition to that, they've got some really great apparel and stuff. So I really should give them a shout out because they sent that one to me free. They actually sent 2 of them, and I was going to give one away, but my stepdaughter begged me to give it to her
Jesus.
so that she can give it as a gift to her brother, who is a huge Chicago Bears fan.
I have exactly 0 bobbleheads.
Well, I am going to get you one,
Which
Shane.
one would you want?
Yes, tell me.
I want the one that Phil's got right there.
Yeah.
Khalil Mack?
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Oh.
I'm kidding.
Next
You want that
bobblehead's going to Shane.
I got the collection. Next show, I'm going to have the collection up. Steph is getting me something.
We got to get the 100 proof bobblehead collection.
Oh, that
going
would be
Acevedo.
That would be
I
dope.
like that idea. I like
Yeah.
that. Another company.
Remember when Dwight comes
Chatterbaiter.
in with his bobblehead?
Hey, Greg, I'm going to turn it over to you because I know that within some of the comments that you collected, there were some questions too. So if the guys have a little time to answer those questions, fire away. So you will lead us off in shout outs. Take it away, brother.
Well, I didn't really grab too many questions, full disclosure. I can going forward, but I always kind of assume
Didn't
at
he
the
just
end
yell
of
at
the
us
show.
because he said he was doing his job Phil,
Yes,
20
he
minutes
did.
ago?
For me, the shout outs are the end of the show. If I start writing down all the damn questions that go in the chat, then these
You
shout
want
outs
more
are going
money.
to go much longer. So I just assumed we were going to do best comments, but I can start sprinkling in some questions too.
All right. Well, while you're doing shout outs, I'm going to ask our people in the chat room, and we're only going to pick 2 or 3. But if you've got a key question you want to ask Phil or Shane, fire away, and then we'll include that in the show. Greg, why don't you start off with the shout outs?
All right, sounds good. I'll run through them quickly, but the first comment of the day was from a person in the chat I don't see all the time. ZD Mokowski said, "What up, Barroom?" He was the first comment of our show today. So, I try to keep up with all the names, but I feel like I haven't seen his as much. So, what's up, Mokowski? And then the Sensei Jay said, "The ones that fight for truth on a Friday night." I tried to sing that for you, Phil. You like that?
Look at that.
And he was really excited about that. He said, "Let's go." So we appreciate you. Yep, we're here with you on a Friday night having fun. Maybe next time I'll be drinking. I'm trying to get to this.
Father's Day weekend, Greg.
That's right. So Quentin Botha said, "Geez, Braggs, hide those guns." I was getting a lot of comments from the chat room department about wearing
The
it's
gun
tank
show.
top. I'm a tank top guy.
You guys
as
should have
well as-
seen our meeting the other night with John Buffone flexing, man.
Yeah, I had my tank on too.
Buffone was scared.
The silence was perfect. So Mitch Galloway said, "Nah, Quentin, Braggs is just exercising his Second Amendment right tonight." That's true. I might have to get a license for these things. So Ryan Olson said, "Please, Aldo, no flashing on the shows." I think that is great advice, Ryan Olson. Jim Larison, my great friend, said, "That Trubisky jersey looks like a kid's jersey. We've covered this, Jim. It's an optical illusion. Don't worry. You don't need new glasses or anything like that." But Jim's probably sleeping. It's way past his bedtime. Jim is, he likes, the fine wines. And after he gets into a couple, he normally falls asleep and then wakes up around 3 a.m. and then tweets about Shy fans in the stands. Chris Sandlin said, "Good thing I didn't ask Greg to give me all the names of the Barroom for my shirt." Yeah, that's probably a good idea. If you don't know, Chris Sandlin made a custom-made Bears Barroom shirt with all the names of the shows and people in our network, so that's pretty cool. Bobby said, "Greg's got everyone's names taped to his garage wall." That was a great idea. I think I'm going to do that going forward instead of the flashcards. Andrew Tarbill said, "Wore my Tape Never Lies shirt to work today." So, Phil, you got guys wearing your shirt to work. How about that? Andrew Tarbill.
I love that.
I try to wear all my shirts, Barroom stuff, to the gym now. I'm like, Jenny was saying the other day, because I didn't have it on, she's like, "How come you don't have your Barroom shirt on? You need to be wearing it to the gym." I was like, dang. I was like, you just trying to... It's like, Phil, I'm turning into Phil. I'm at the gym every day now. I got my Barroom shirt on. She wants me to interact with people at the gym now and start spreading the Barroom message. Jenny was pushing me to do that.
Jenny's listening to me, at least.
Yep. Jenny's a smart woman. I always try to listen to her. So Bobby Baum said, I'm sorry. Tigger Killam said, "This is probably the best two pass rushers the Bears have ever had." And that actually was put in here specifically because I wanted to ask you guys, do you believe that Robert Quinn and, Khalil Mack on the edge, and then what you consider in the middle is the best pass rush the Bears have ever put forward? I mean, we all know the 85 Bears put out quite a unit.
Listen, on paper, people are get upset,
They're
but
there.
I've already said
Yeah.
this is the best player I've seen at number 52, Khalil Mack, since Walter Payton. And that's me studying it, like looking at it, not just looking at the numbers, as you said.
How about defensively
Robert Quinn
for the Bears?
Yes,
as far as
this
best?
could be the best two pass rushers the Bears have had on the edge. Think about it. People are going to say, well, what about Alan Page and what's his name? Number 81. Damn it. Freaking got me. He's a Hall of Famer. Wore number 81. About
Call
6.
Dan Aguirre.
Where is Dan, the historian, when you need him? Someone in the chat probably know. Hall of Famer. Listen, these two guys are on another level of football. And I would be in that bet. Richard Dent, Trace Armstrong, or Robert Quinn and Khalil Mack. Those things are really where Dan Hampton and Richard Dent, or Khalil Mack and Robert Quinn. For me, I'm sorry, it's Khalil Mack and Robert Quinn. And that's not recency bias. That's really looking at them on the tape.
How about you, Shane?
I can't go against what Phil's saying. We've talked about it a little bit. It's, you have two guys there, and, pass rushers are a position that can age pretty well. And that's something that can't be undersold here. There's not a cliff at 30 with these guys. Robert Quinn just came to a situation where all the pressure is off of him.
Right.
He's not going to be relied as the lead dog here. And that is a benefit to his career. That's where he's a smart businessman. He got paid here, but he also came to a situation that I think is, if he's playing well, is going to extend his career here.
Exactly.
And
I just think it makes a ton of sense. Yeah.
And I agree with you, Phil. I will put in the good word for the Jaws music. You know, they like doing the little stuff like that, and I think that might be a perfect thing they might take to. We'll have to push that around to different people, and then if not, we'll ask Pagano if we can ever get near him. I don't know if they're going to listen. Last year, Phil had me yelling defensive coverages at Pagano in the tunnel before the game. He had me. That was pretty funny.
He's like, Phil, what do I say? I go, tell him, get in cover 2 and push up into man and blitz the fucking corner.
So
blitz screen all day.
I said that verbatim, and Pagano's just taking pictures and signing autographs, being a nice guy that he is. And he turned around and he's like, "You're crazy." That's what he said. So, all right, back to the shout-outs. Chris Gonzalez said, "Hey, loved your post earlier today, Gaines." He was talking to Gaines in the chat, and I don't know if anybody else saw it on Facebook or Twitter. Gaines actually hung out with Aldo at Aldo's humble abode. That was pretty cool to see.
You probably just stole a shout-out.
Yeah, you did.
Well, I just thought,
Great job, Greg.
all right. Well, I just want to make sure I threw that in there, but I'll let Aldo say his nice words about Gaines. But hey,
At least
it
we
was
remembered
cool for
his name,
us
Greg.
here at the Barroom to see, guys coming together. Be quiet, Shane. Mute his mic. Mute his mic. The guy up here.
It's time to replay the Shy Fans interview.
Anyway, listen.
Yurkovich.
Listen.
Yurk, let me ask you an important question. No, shut up, Yurko. I'm going to talk now.
He talks too much. GSH Jeff said, hey, Greg, that jersey you're hanging up kind of looks like it might be Phil's jersey because it was so small. I thought that was a pretty funny joke. GSH Jeff, shots fired. Zach Sullivan said, I have great get off as well. 0 unwanted pregnancies. So congratulations to you, Zach. GSH Jeff, my good buddy and huge Purdue Boilermaker fan, said, Has Greg given you a Father's Day gift yet, Shane? And, I almost wasn't going to read that fucking shit. So fuck you, Jeff. But
Barb's getting one soon.
Barb's getting one soon. I'm not getting you shit unless you get me all the Christmas presents you owe me for the last 34 years.
There you go.
Thank you, Phil. Barrelissimo said, "Put Jerko on the Pack Mike show since he's a former Packer. I know Mike loves him, but Pack Mike already got to talk to Jerko, so we got to bring him on 100 Proof again. Because I did say after our show, because we've had Yurkovich here on 100 Proof before, but I just felt like he wasn't feeling. Maybe he had somewhere to go that night, but it felt like he had more pop on Tuesday, so I'd love to see him come back and fight it out with you guys as well. I thought I held my own, though. How did you guys feel after listening?
You never once talked about punt returns.
Well,
and that's what he's best at.
I did say, because when he tried to point out the average for his returns, that I was referencing punt returning, but I said they stopped kicking to him. What in God's name, Aldo?
Don't blame me. You almost blamed me.
Dude,
you get those at the swag shop, everybody. Acevedo's bringing them up.
I don't even know what the fuck I was
every
saying.
one of them out, too.
I don't even know what the fuck.
Father's Day gift, so that's what Shane's going to send you.
Oh my God.
You get the limp one on the right, Greg.
Charles Lincoln says, that's a schmedium jersey, Braggs. A lot of comments on the jersey. Like I said, it's a goddamn optical lizard. Ed Loya said, a good pass rush will make any secondary look good, and I completely agree with that. If the dogs are hunting, then expect Kyle Fuller and Jalen Johnson and these guys to have a big year. Eddie Jackson to have another big year. So looking forward to it. Barrelissimo said 28% of the earth is covered by land. The rest is covered by Eddie Jackson.
That's not the quote.
How's it go?
That's a Walt Harris.
Walt
Harris quote. When the Bears drafted him, he went to the combine with T-shirt that said 90% of the world is covered by water. The other 10% is covered by Walt Harris.
Oh, very good. Little did
close. It's close, George.
I thought Dan was the historian, but Shane just dropping a little knowledge on us.
Yeah. You remember what school Walt Harris was from, Shane?
Was he Mississippi State?
Penn State.
Yes, Shane. Mississippi State. Look at that.
Very nice.
Very good.
Come on. Gee, you're talking to the Jeopardy champion. You fucking.
Ooh, might have to bring that back. All right, final few comments of the night. Christina Lucio said, next week, Greg Cutler is going to be shirtless. No, I don't think I'm going that far, but it is. It is. She calls me Greg Cutler. She thinks I look like Cutler. I don't know. This beard's starting to get past what Cutler ever had. And no, I'm not going to be shirtless. But
Maybe when he's got a smarmy, whiny face. Maybe.
Who? Cutler?
Yeah, you look
Don't
like
you
him when he's
ever
got a
fucking
smart.
say that to me. Bobby Bomb said Greg needs a bobblehead. I think that's a great idea. Get all the people in the bar room, the 100 Proof Gang bobbleheads. That'd be cool. Who the hell makes these? We need to find out.
Yeah,
and
we
I don't
need
know.
to find
I
out.
can tell that Phil didn't listen all the way through to Shy Fans.
I didn't.
Because
I told
because
you
there
this,
were
though.
some shots fired. We were talking about your bobblehead acquisitions.
No, there
But
was shot
beyond
fired.
that, there was
a
some
shot
real
fired by a guy on this panel here that's on that show. I'm not gonna name it.
No.
He's taking shots at me.
I did
Shane?
not. Okay.
He
whatever.
said that he goes, yeah.
Yeah.
Phil gets a bobblehead, and then he
Uh-huh.
immediately starts pining for the only one that he doesn't have. He said, "Oh, I still need Sid Luck, but he made it into an
all
I
right,
don't need
to
Sid
tease-
Luck. I don't
to
want
tease
Sid
them,
Luck.
To
Go
get
ahead.
them to listen to the rest of it.
I
There
want
were
Papa
shots
Bear.
fired
Oh, is that who
from
it
the
was?
other two
Yeah.
guys on the panel.
Well,
in
the other
different
two
ways.
guys, one's name is Fat Mike. I mean,
Pac
stop
Mike.
right there. Pac Mike, Fat Mike. The other one's Two Scoops. So it's like you're going to brunch on Mother's Day.
Because
That's
they were,
it.
I'll give it away a little bit because
I think-
it's in the
I will-
bobblehead discussion.
Why didn't you pull the audio and then Aldo could have played
This
it?
is the 100 Proof defensive sports talk. That's for Wednesday.
This
when we
is the
have
1 hour
this
show.
Pull the
90
audio.
This
minutes
was the
later.
We're
1 hour
almost
show.
done. We're almost
Yeah, this
done.
is as good as we're
50
going to do
minutes,
when we
so
say
that
it's an
We're-
hour.
listen,
No.
you're getting a little
I
bonus.
got grounded on Sunday. Now what's gonna happen to me?
No.
Well, I was
I made
going to
it-
say,
I made
Wrap it
5
up,
days.
Greg.
I made
Wrap
5
it up.
days.
I was gonna say, if we get Shane, divorced here, we can go as long as we want after that. So
That's
if
true.
we just keep this up,
true.
and we can all move in that big beautiful house of his.
Late.
I've already picked
Go
out
ahead,
my
you
window.
have
Everybody's fighting for the top left window, but I want it. It's mine. I call dibs. Okay, final 2 comments of the night. Zach Sullivan said, hang a tennis ball from the top of the shipping container you are currently in, Greg. I think to be able to know how far I should be from the mic, I think that's a good idea. Some people, like my grandpa, used to put the tennis ball,
Yeah, my dad
hanging
still
down.
has
He was
that.
a good man.
So you pull different grandpa. It's the other side of the family, you fuckface. It never ends. It never ends. And yeah, so some people pull their cars in that way. I don't know how many people do that. And the final shout out or comment of the night goes from Bobby Bounce. Once again, he said, happy Father's Day to you all. And happy Father's Day even to the single moms out there. And I thought that was, a unique way of saying it because I think that's true. My mom, raised me and my sister by herself. So I definitely have a lot of respect for the moms that are doing it on their own. But it is Father's Day on Sunday. So happy Father's Day to you guys. You guys are all great dads. And I'm just trying to get to be one day, working day by day, trying to get out of this diaper phase.
Did Greg just say Happy Father's Day to me?
Yeah.
I think
At least he can admit it.
he snuck it in there.
You are a father. You are a father to Riley.
And a motherfucker, right, Greg?
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
All right, I collected 2 questions. The first one will go to Phil. The second one to Shane. Phil, this one is for you. Toby Hill asks, do you, as he expects, the same kind of stubbornness and attitude from Coach Matt Nagy regarding his play calling? And what do you think? Do you think that Matt Nagy is going to adjust in 2020, particularly after he's kind of admitted in press conferences that he kind of failed at his job at not adjusting? Do you think those are just words, or you think that Nagy is really committed to adjusting?
You really hope. I mean, you heard Olin Kreutz talk about it. You heard me talk about it. Shane, so many guests that we've had talk about the head coach. JJ Stankiewicz was on talking about the head coach. Mark Grody on this network. Hopefully, Matt Nagy's speaking his truth because that's the only way he's going to get out of what Olin called Last Chance U up at Hallis Hall now. And that's really the truth. Hopefully, I only could honestly sit back and fold my arms now. I'm tired of being burned by the Chicago Bears coaches. And that goes back to Dick Geron, Lovey, all of them. You could say what you want about any of them. To me, in watching how they handled the offenses in Chicago, it always lacked that understanding of situational football. Again, sometimes in games you can win away. Wow, they really got it. And then the next game, it's like a different team. So all I can tell you is I hope he has to. He has to answer your question. Otherwise, this offense isn't going to be successful. It really isn't.
I got to tell you, Phil, you nailed it there, because I remember Lovie Smith, who is probably outside of Mike Ditka the most successful coach that I have seen in following my Chicago Bears since the late 60s. But Lovie was so effing stubborn. And Lovie would still be coaching in the NFL if he would have adapted to today's game. He was so effing stubborn. And so what we hope with Matt Nagy is that he's not going to be as stubborn, and that he is going to see what you have seen even prior to what he saw and adjust accordingly. All right, next question is from Tigger, and I'll have Shane answer this question. Who do you think is going to be the biggest surprise this season for the 2020 Chicago Bears?
That's a good question. It's hard to go on the other side of the ball opposite the defense, so I'm going to stay on the defense, and I'm going to go with number 58. I'm just going to throw everything in the middle of the table and throw down on Roquan being the guy that we expect to be the top 10 pick that we expect. The ability is there. The want to there. Until whatever was dealing with off the field, hopefully that stuff is all straight. When he came back last year, you saw when he settled back in, you saw him start to string together those 10-plus tackle games where he was making big plays. Then, unfortunately, he got hurt. This kid's still 23 years old. Ton of upside still there. And like you said, when you're talking about Robert Quinn being surrounded by all of these guys, you can say the same thing about Roquan Smith. He's got the ultimate, the consummate pro, the ultimate leader right next to him, number 59, Danny Trevathan. He's got everything at his disposal to take the leap to be that foundational piece that the Bears need on this defense to go along with Khalil Mack, Eddie Jackson, and those guys. So if I was in Vegas and I got my Mike North jelly beans, I'm putting them all in the middle of the table, and I'm saying 58 is going to be the biggest surprise, because his upside isn't good. It's pro. It's all pro. That's where he needs to be. And I think on this defense, he's got every shot in the world to get there.
All right, Shane, while I have you in the middle screen, why don't you give us your shout outs? We'll go to Phil, and then I will finish up the show, and we'll try to get out of here. And not the 1 hour show that we promised. 2 hour show.
Oh, we shoot for one, we mean two.
My wife always says, when you say an hour, you know it's going to be two.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I think she said 3.
She even has. No, when I say 2, she says it's going to be 3.
There you go.
Tell Steph to text Ela real
here.
quick. Tell Steph to text Ela real quick and let her know what that math is.
Okay.
You know how to figure
Text
out barroom
Ela,
time.
Tell her what the math is. The barroom math.
time.
Barroom time.
Yes, exactly.
So hey, my shout out on Father's Day, it's going to be to my dad. You know what I said? My dad's 80 years old. He's not a huge football fan. He's a baseball guy, big Dodgers fan. He's been real worried about how that was going to unfold. It looks like they're going to have their shortened season, but I Aldo, you and I have talked about this a little bit off the air. I didn't have the perfect relationship with my dad growing up. He was a guy that was, military guy, gone a lot, stuff like that. Weren't super close. Got a little bit older, regretted a lot of that, and had our differences. But the older I got and the older he got, all of that stuff is buried. And he's the dad that I'm proud of, the dad that I always wanted. He's a guy that I love to have my son around. My dad drove, and my mom drove up to my house tonight and just, picked my son up, took him out for ice cream. And that's what everybody wants for their kids, to be able to still have your dad around. I was talking to Gaines, huge part of Barroom here, who had just lost his dad recently. I can't imagine. So shout out to Gaines for dealing with that. It's something that I don't even like to think about. And, at 43 years old, I feel that I'm very, very lucky to still have my dad in the picture and in my life, every day as much as possible, even though if he calls me 50 times a day, it does drive me a little bit crazy. Should have never bought him that Alexa because now he calls me on that too. But, shout
Miking you.
Yeah, no, he's a little bit worse than Fat Mike, but no. shout out to my dad. Happy Father's Day, and I'll see you on Sunday. We'll crack a beer and sit back and enjoy some quality time together.
There you go.
Nice,
Phil,
nice.
take it away, brother.
I am gonna double down with Shane. He stole my shout out. It wasn't to his dad though, but I'm gonna shout out your dad for creating such a good person. Shout out to you, Aldo, and Shane, and Greg, for fathers that you are. It's one anybody could deliver sperm. That's easy. The hard part is to stand up and teach your children, whether it be daughters, or sons, how to be a human being in this world now that we live in, as well as how to be a man. And I shared, I'm so pissed. It's a shorter show, so I'm not going to make anybody look for it, but I shared something on Facebook and I totally forgot to send it to freaking Aldo. But it captures my emotion for my dad, for my shout out to my dad for Father's Day. And it's about the game of football and how important it is. So for next show, I'm going to make sure that we have that audio and that video that was done actually by Georgia Tech University. It just captured everything about this country and everything about being a man and a father, all in one, rolled up, perfect present. It is the greatest game in the world. It's not even close. It brings cultures and races and religions together to teach them what it is to be a teammate and what it is to work together, because it's the only sport that relies on everybody to do their job in order for the elite to rise up above it. And it's just what it is. So when I watched that, I thought of my dad and the lessons he taught me. And this weekend, Father's Day, for me, every person listening in that's standing up and being a dad, or is a single dad struggling, or is enjoying this and wants to be a dad, or is about to be a dad. Shout out to Ralph Tribby, who became a dad again the other day. We got a new barfly, Ryan Tribby. Shout out to Ralph having a son, Ryan, enter the world. He texted me, Aldo, sent me a baby picture. We got a new barfly. So I wanted to shout him out. I wanted to shout out my boy Serg Orts. He sent me these two beautiful hats for Father's Day. It's just out of the blue. I just want to let you know I appreciate the father you are more so than the analyst you are. And you didn't have to do that. It was just amazing. I wanted to make sure I shouted him out for the compassion for somebody to do that. It's mind-boggling. Jim Larison for sending me the bobblehead and always thinking of me. Happy Father's Day. Every barfly, every person. For what? Oh, I got to do one shout. Steph. Hi, Steph. Steph's associate producer. I forgot. Thank God she did this, Aldo. It's going to be my last shout out. But I want to say this. Steph reminded me of the shout out that I have to send. I'm going to read this. It was sent to me by Josh E. And I got to find it here. But I love you fans. And every one of you that's a father that has stepped up for their people, for their family in this country, in COVID, and homeschooling and everything. We don't get the Mother's Day brunches and the lobster tails and all of that. We always get overlooked. But I love you all, barflies. And Aldo, I promise, I'm just going to read this because it was sent to me by Cubs fan Josh on Instagram, and Josh E. I don't know if he's in the chat tonight. Next week, the whole bobblehead collection, John, will be in focus behind me. My wife is getting something together. Aldo, here's my Casey Kasem voice for Tooch. Could you shout out Old Man Father's Day? This is from, how do I do it? Cubs fan Josh writes, could you shout out my old man for Father's Day? My old man dedicated his life to helping people, especially the mentally challenged. I grew up in Arlington Heights, Illinois. There was one black kid on my football team. His mom couldn't take him to practice because she worked at night. My dad was the head coach, and he'd pick him up and dropped him off at home every day so he could play on the team. His last name was Woods. He wasn't a very good player, so it was only because my dad had such a beautiful heart that he would do this. My old man always does beautiful acts, so if you could, can you please shout out Jim Ewart for Father's Day? So there you go. Jim Ewart, thank you for showing your son how to be a father and what empathy and compassion is. And there's Greg.
Get that stupid shit off. End the show. End the show, Aldo. Hit the fucking end session. We're an hour over.
Happy Father's Day, baby boy.
Wait a minute. I gotta. I promise to do some quick shout outs here.
Let him speak.
I want to shout out my man Tyler Ellis, who came over to the crib this week, and we spent, I think it was almost 3 hours outside barbecuing some burgers and turkey burgers and some Angus burgers, and he brought over some beers and some excellent gifts. Thank you, Tyler, very much. But beyond that, the discussion that I had with Tyler was especially inspiring to me. And Tyler, if you do not know Tyler, you will know more and more about Tyler as we go on here, because he really is a unique spirit. And we talked about the Barroom and the future of the Barroom. And one of the things that, and he said many things that inspired me, but one of the things that he talked about was that Barroom is much more than a business enterprise, and it's much more than talking about the Chicago Bears, but it's about community. And one person in the chat room, and I need to get that person's name. So if you're here tonight, tell me it was you that said the quote, and Berlissimo pointed it out to me, that I came for the Bears talk and stayed for the community. And that to me really captures what we do here. And Tyler amplified on that. He had not he was not aware of that quote when he was talking about what we do here at the Barroom, but he sensed it from the very beginning. He said that on the very week or the very month that he found his church, the one that he had been searching for, he had done a tour of different churches. He also found the Barroom and said this was such an impact on his life that he found a spiritual worship place and also found a spiritual worship place for his football team, and it all melded together. And so he has asked me to consider a code, a core values page. When we open up our webpage, you're going to see a core values page about what we believe in terms of fellowship and companionship and camaraderie within the whole Barroom network and our Barfly nation, our Barfly universe, really, because we've got listeners from across the world. So Tyler made a huge impact on me in so many different ways, and his words were so inspirational and aspirational. So I want to give him a special shout out. He has always been a special member of the Barroom Network, but he is now going to be highlighted in ways that you will all notice once we start moving on with our enterprise. One of the things that I did with Tyler after we spent 2 or 3 hours outside, I brought him in here and I interviewed him for 30 minutes, and I encapsulated his life story into 30 minutes. And so not only am I going to do that with Tyler and share that when we open up our website, share that with everybody, but I'm going to do it with Shane, I'm going to do it with Phil, I'm going to do it with Greg, and I'm going to do it with all of the other members of the Barroom Network so that you can get to know them. And then as we progress, I'm going to open up a fan page, and I want to interview some of you fans, some of you super barflies, and so that we can all get to know each other, our life stories, what our dreams are, what our aspirations are, how we feel about the Bears, so that this community that we have gets closer and closer and closer together, and that we become the family that we talk about, but we're also going to be reacting to and being proactive about. And so that it's just not talk, it's actually sharing really in-depth familial stories about one another so that we can get to know each other in a virtual way, but also a much stronger way. So my sincere thanks to Tyler for that. And the other shout out that I have is for, and I gotta admit, I have been a student of African American history for a long time. I try to keep abreast as to what's happened to our African Americans and the story that they have had in the United States. But frankly, I did not know about Juneteenth until recently. And so here it is. Today we have this show on this very special day. I'm going to read from, where is this? History.com. Juneteenth, and I'm not even sure I'm pronouncing it correctly. Am I, guys? Juneteenth?
Yeah,
That's
correct,
right?
Sounds
Marked the
good.
day when federal troops arrived in Galveston, Texas in 1865 to take control of the state and ensure that all enslaved people be freed. The troops' arrival came a full 2.5 years after the signing of the Emancipation Proclamation. Juneteenth honors the end to slavery in the United States and is considered the longest running African American holiday.
Wow.
I'm moved by that. I am ashamed that I was not fully aware of that. And I think, again, like I encouraged everyone, the show that we did here at 100 Proof, where we talked about what's happening to our African American friends and brothers throughout this country. I encourage you all to look into the history as to what's happened so that we can get better understanding. And one of the words that Tyler and I shared a lot was empathy. We need to not feel sympathy for people. We need to feel empathy, which is to get into their shoes, learn about what's happened, not just with African Americans, but with our fellow brothers and sisters, no matter what color, no matter where they come from, no matter anything. Empathy is so huge. And so let's do a little research this weekend as we're enjoying Father's Day. Let's find out a little bit about what's going on in the world and not speak from our gut, not speak from instinct, but speak from some knowledge and find out what's going on. All right. I am so proud to work alongside these guys, Shane Marsaw, Draft Dr. Phil, Greg Braggs. Their heart it's bigger than their knowledge about Bears football, which is why I love working with these guys. These guys really, really bring it, and are my brothers. And I love you guys very much. I want to wish you all a very happy birthday. There's a lot of great comments in the chat.
Father's Day.
What did I say? Mother's
birthday. It was a happy birthday.
Phil's birthday and the smartest man's birthday is coming up, though. So.
That is right.
July.
What is your birthday, Phil?
July 21st is my birthday, and
then
Shane
4
is the
days
25th.
later, 4 days later is Walter Payton's birthday.
Yes.
Which is Shane's birthday.
Yeah.
Oh.
Same day. I was born to be
day.
born to be.
Are we
going to
get the Walter Payton Philitoshan documentary out?
And my anniversary is July 20th.
We didn't ask you that.
Announce that on your show,
listening to
Craig.
Aldo.
No.
Okay,
Always got to turn it to him.
Inside joke. When Phil was here 2 years ago now, right? 2 years
Yes,
ago.
2 years.
I videotaped Phil over. I live 2 blocks away from Peyton Hill, and I videotaped Phil running up the hill, sharing his
We've
straw.
never seen this.
Yeah,
I know, it's like a mystery.
I'm going to
Suburban.
I'm going to sell this video because it's so precious. No, I'm not. I promise to you, I'm going to have it. I've actually posted the date on my Walter Payton poster.
Look at
birthday,
that.
July 25th. And so the show we're doing that week, I'm going to have the video ready, and I am inviting Jarrett Payton, who has promised to come on 100 Proof. I'm inviting him on that show, and I want you, Phil, to handle that interview. Shane, of course, and is going to be a part of it, but I'm going to sit back, listen to you and Shane, and Greg will get his 6-minute questions in, I'm sure. Primarily,
Don't cut him off.
Yeah.
Yes.
but
Jared, quit talking about your dad. I just got to ask you something real quick.
Me and Jared are good drinking buddies. He was hanging out
Oh,
at
here
the
we
old Three Kings pub in London with me and Bearlissimo and all the Bears
Look at that.
bar
what a great
flies.
guy, isn't he?
Yeah, he was there to interview Bart Schlewecki, who named his son frickin' Chase Daniels.
Okay. That's
Which
enough
is-
about that dumbass. Let's move
Oh!
on.
If
What am I
can
talking
get-
about? Chase
Phil, if I
Daniel?
can get Jared on, I just want to sit back and for 15, 20, 30 minutes, love to hear the two of you guys go one-on-one before Shane and Greg jump in. That would be the ultimate present for you, because I know what Walter means to you in your life, and what you have given to Bears fans with your commentary on The Tape Never Lies, on 100 Proof, on Last Call, and before that, Bears Hour Live. And your day-to-day interaction, your passion for the Chicago Bears deserves a special present like that. So you talking to Jarrett would be a present to us. So I'm going to try to make that happen, brother.
That's going to be awesome. That'll be fun, and I appreciate that. Yeah, I can go on and on about it, but I won't, Shane. But that's
When we have
really,
Eddie
I'm excited.
Pinheiro on, we're going to turn it over and let Greg handle that entire. They'll go one-on-one. It'll be perfect.
Hey, next week, real quick, Barflies, if you're in the chat, you're going to be surprised because we're going to do something special. And we're just
Next week.
Yeah, Aldo, I think we mentioned, but he forgot.
Probably.
Yeah, we told you.
We're going to be calling on people from the chat. We're going to give them 5 minutes.
That's right.
5 minutes on 100 Proof where they go toe-to-toe with Aldo, Phil, and Shane.
It's essentially a
Greg doesn't cut 'em off.
chatterbaiter job interview. Live on air.
The clock, we just need a clock graphic, Aldo, that'll count down. Right when they come on, boom, they go on the clock.
I can do that.
I can talk over him for 5 minutes.
no
if it's
talking
Larison, I'm talking over him for the whole 5
Greg
minutes.
will be interrupting all of them.
No interruptions. You get to come on, speak, and audition. There you go. There's Greg. In one more week.
All right,
As soon as the diet's over, I'm going
going to
back.
play credits and then stick around for a little post-game show, and then I'm going to allow these guys to get back to their beautiful families. All right, fellas, the show is officially over, but for those who are still with us, they get a little extra. Look at that guy. What a handsome guy you were. How long
That
ago was
pimple.
Get it off the screen, you moron!
He has a voice.
God,
Holy.
you these two over here.
I didn't
Are
do
both-
anything.
You're both dicks.
Oh my God.
It wasn't nice what you said.
About what?
Nothing.
I
Not
said
even bringing it
nothing
back.
about you.
Not even bringing it back.
What did I say?
Nothing. Not even bringing it back to light. Shane knows. Shane knows.
Oh my God.
You're mean. You're just mean.
A real recognizes real.
Oh, yeah.
Come on.
You're mean. Just be nice. It's 100 days. Today is day
Oh,
99.
you see that? You see that? Look at the quote.
You're all a bunch of haters.
No,
See that,
do
Greg?
not. Do not.
Exactly.
You have to pay
I
for
agree.
that, Jim.
No,
Hey,
he does not.
That's part of the Patreon. That's my picture.
Could we put that on a t-shirt? Just a giant pimple on the back.
Yeah. See you in Nashville. I'll have the pimple swag.
Barflies Universe.
Put a map of the U.S.
Giant
and then my pimple face where we're going.
Oh, you know,
Is the-
Craig's
instead of a
got to
star.
make that into a bullseye in the end zone. Mitch, throw it here. You know, give him something big to hit.
When Eddie goes to kick, Greg's pimple.
That might be why he missed that kick. That might be why he missed that kick against the Chargers. I was in that end zone. Now that I think about it, he's probably like about to kick, and then he's like, "What the fuck is that?"
Did you
Slip.
pop that thing, Greg?
Well, that was what happened.
tried.
That's
He
what
tried.
Jenny warned me not to, but I couldn't take it. And I wanted it to go away because I knew Phil was going to make fun of me. So then I popped it, and it got worse.
I was going to make fun of you.
It was really bad. It hurt so
I
bad.
didn't even notice it till you pointed it out in the picture.
Oh, really?
And I swear to God.
Hung out with me the whole time, didn't notice it.
I
It was
didn't
literally
notice
a
it.
second head on my face.
It was the 100th night. We were out in the park. McMahon was there.
I know.
Erlacher,
JJ,
JJ,
Stankovic.
Kaplan.
Phil, all I'm going to say is if Jim Larson is still listening, if he's got his phone handy, maybe he should check his phone right now.
No, he shouldn't.
Wants a man to hug and kiss.
He should take his phone and throw it in the fucking lake.
Check your phone, Jim.
Can you imagine? Sandlin made that giant flag of his pimple, and we held it up. We had some.
Oh,
Jesus!
Live
Christ.
video.
Why? Don't do this. Don't
Oh my
do
God!
this.
Oh my God!
Oh my god.
Oh my pimple!
Phil, I
dots.
thought you deleted that. You sent me that to that.
Oh
that-
my
that-
God!
What
No
the
more!
fuck?
Oh my God!
No wonder you lost 25 pounds. It was all in pimple.
One time I had
That's
a
the most
pimple,
disgusting fucking thing.
and I just kept digging at it.
It's
and
like
digging
Rex
at it.
fucking Chapman's feed or Twitter feed. Jesus Christ.
Oh my God! Some people are like addicted to popping pimples. They have to like
Have you
do
ever
it.
seen that
Jenny
show,
likes
Dr.
to
Pimple
pop
Popper?
mine. She's like that. It's
Oh,
weird.
no. Get out. Jenny doesn't. No way.
She's always like, let me pop that. I'm like, get the fuck away from
I'm
me.
that guy. I'm that guy. I would do that. Haven't you seen that show,
God.
Dr. Pimple Popper?
yes.
No,
Yeah.
Yeah, yes. That's
That's a
sick.
Yeah, but they
Monster.
oh my God, they make Greg's fucking satellite.
Are we
look
gonna talk
normal.
about pimples? I'm fucking leaving if we're gonna talk about fucking
Hey,
pimples. I'm
real
gonna walk
quick.
the fuck away.
check out that new movie by David Spade. I haven't heard my wife laugh like that in a long time. What is it, Missy? Something Missy?
David Spade. I haven't heard of it.
Wrong Missy on Netflix. I'm just letting you guys know. Thank me later.
Oh yeah, I heard
Go
about that.
back. Go.
It's the wrong, the
it's-
wrong girl, right?
Yeah. Oh my God. There's a couple parts. It's Adam Sandler writing it. It's his production company with David Spade as the lead, and this chick that is so funny. Like I wasn't expecting this.
Yeah.
Give that a view. Maybe I'll go on I Have a Stream with you two to talk about it. It's that. I haven't heard my wife laugh. Me and her, I had those, the ab workout from laughing because it was that well done. So, just over the weekend, Father's Day weekend, guys should get a little time. Check out that movie. How's that?
Jim
for
Larison's
Temple
response was fucking amazing. Whatever text he just received.
Tomorrow is 100 days of the pandemic and no sports. 100 days since the Rudy Gobert thing. Isn't that
Well,
crazy?
you had golf, didn't you?
I don't count those. I'm still.
I
Somebody
agree
asked
with
me
you.
that.
I agree.
Somebody asked me like, how come you're still doing the
I always
countdown?
said golf's
They're
a
doing
game.
NASCAR and golf and all that. No, I'll tell you. I'll be the one that tells you when sports are back. It's not back yet.
Yeah.
It's not.
I agree, Greg.
Those are nice. Belmont Stakes or whatever's tomorrow or whenever. That's great.
Are you trying to change the subject? Is that what Greg is doing?
No, I'm not,
He's
because
trying
I
to-
was gonna bring it back to Larison, because I think we were talking. What the hell was that?
That
We were
was you talking
I
at
was
a
just
game.
telling Aldo about how I miss his drops.
Yeah.
His drops. We gotta get them.
I miss doing that too.
So we gotta get that rocking. But I was gonna say we gotta get Larison
Oh, Maron.
to do the old shaveroo. There's gonna be
get
a
him.
special announcement tomorrow on
Oh,
my
no.
get all this
no.
off.
No,
Stop
no,
it,
no.
Aldo.
Oh, Jesus.
my God.
Aldo, you sick fuck. I can't even look.
No,
This is the worst. What are you doing?
that's
Facial.
Who puts this on the internet? How many
know.
views did that have? Jesus
There's
Christ.
so many questions. There he is.
Show him one of my snaps that you've got in there.
Oh my gosh, where can I find one of those?
I want
I
Shane
think
to
Aldo's
give
got
him
a cat.
give him all to Aldo so he can make a funny.
He got him.
You were already on my one sitcom. Just wouldn't get share, but your everlasting hate towards me give me
That was me reading.
You're not living
Sandlin.
until you wake up at
Sandlin.
4:30 in the morning and you
That's a
have that message
voicemail
from Greg
from
Braggs.
Braggs. That's him. He's always yelling.
When I'm irritated, I go to that. That's my go-to.
Oh my god.
Did you see what Christopher said?
Yes, I did. More fucking views than this show too, motherfucker. It's messed up world we live in.
Oh, have a great Father's Day.
Likewise, brother. Love you guys all.
Love you guys.
Love you guys.
Enjoy the
I love
weekend.
all
We'll be
of you.
back. We'll be back next week. We'll go over the offense.
Yes.
I love everyone in the chat except for Sandlin.